Hello, I'm Jose, and this is the Cinematic Dogma podcast. I'm joined, as every week, by my, I don't know what to say in this case, I would say like La La Land friend,
Honored co-host.
co-host Blake.
Thank you, Jose. I'm happy to be here, and I'm ready to teach you about the film we watched.
Oh, nice. So, what film did we watch this time?
For this recording, we watched the celebrated 2016 film La La Land.
Yeah, well, no. Actually,
no.
No.
Sorry,
we didn't.
I read the wrong
Sorry.
envelope.
Yeah.
We watched the
I love-
2016 celebrated film Moonlight by Barry Jenkins. Please.
Yeah, I love that we actually thought about exactly the same. You told me that you had like a joke prepared for this. And I didn't even like thought about a joke, and things like the first thing that it came to my mind, it was like, oh, La La Land.
Well, tell our listeners the anecdote you shared with me about the Goyas.
Oh, yeah. So some weeks ago, we were talking about like our favorite movies from last year, and I mentioned a Spanish movie that was called The Undercover, La Infiltrada in Spanish. The Goyas are like the Spanish Oscars. I actually use air quotes because it's a bit more of a modest celebration of Spanish cinema. And one of the movies that it was nominated, it was this La Infiltrada. And for the first time ever, the best movie award went to two movies. La Infiltrada was one of them. But in the interviews afterwards, is that everyone was like, hey, we thought that they were pulling a La La Land. And they actually made a mistake. It's like, so La La Land has been institutionalized as a term of you receive an award, and when you're about to receive it physically, they tell you, like, no, it wasn't you, jinx. It was for someone else.
New goal for our friendship. To pull a La La Land needs to be incorporated into our lexicon.
Yeah. But yeah, we watched Moonlight. This, I think that it was my pick. I think.
I know it was your pick.
Yeah. So why did I pick it? One part it was because I thought about it again because of they pull a La La Land last weekend in the Goyas, but they didn't. They thought that it was going to be. And the second part is because it's a movie that I have like really soft spot for it, but I only watched it once. So it was more of I had like these sweet memories of it, but I never had the excuse for watching it again.
That surprises me, and I don't know why. Like, I feel like I've seen Moonlight. This is probably my fourth showing, and I don't know why I've seen it that many times. I'm sure it must have been a plane that explains at least one of them.
That's okay. That's surprising because I think that we talked briefly about it. I don't know if this was like one of the Oscar ceremonies that I organized at my place. I don't know if you came.
I think I went to a couple, and you came to at least one at my place.
Yeah, one at your place. Yeah, but yeah, I remember like during the ceremony, that is like when they were going to be like giving the best movie award. I said that is like, okay, which movie deserves it? Is Moonlight. Which movie I think that is going to win is La La Land because they love self-masturbatory exercises. So at the end, I got both.
I was like
30 seconds.
So you explained your opinion about who deserved to win and who you thought would win, but who did you want to win?
I don't want to
say it out loud.
I have even a softer spot about La La Land. I don't think that it's a better movie, but it's a movie that I enjoy. I'm sorry, it's a movie that I enjoy that I watch more than once.
Honestly,
and there are like a couple of.
Is it possible this was only my second showing? And I think maybe I'm misremembering because I think after I may not have watched it again since it won Best Picture.
I definitely didn't watch it again.
Okay.
Maybe you watched La La Land and you're mixing them up. Is that this is the one about the gay guy?
Oh, no, I definitely made sure to only watch La La Land once. Also, everyone is gay in La La Land, so don't pretend.
But they say that they're straight. They're only curious. Okay, but this was the reason why. Do you want to summarize it?
Yes, I'm happy to summarize this. So the film follows primarily a character called Little. We meet Little when he is, help me out with an age here, I would say 8, 9, somewhere in there.
Yeah, something like that.
He is a very quiet, awkward boy. He's being raised by his mother. And we meet Little periodically through his life. So we kind of see these vignettes. And when we meet him as a little boy, his mom seems to be involved. She cares for him, but you can tell there's something not quite right. So Little tries to escape his home for whatever reason. I don't think they ever explain why, but he runs away and ends up at kind of in a rough neighborhood where drugs are being sold. And he meets Mahershala Ali, who kind of saves him from these boys that were bullying him. And Mahershala Ali takes an interest in him, tries to find out where he lives, what his name is. He introduces Little to his wife, played by Janelle Monáe. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I love her. I just can never remember her name. And he becomes connected to them. Like, they become kind of surrogate parents and kind of a safe haven for him to escape from his horrible home life, which gets more horrible. Then we meet Little a little bit later in his life when he's a teenager. This section of the film is called Chiron, which is his actual name, not his nickname.
Yep.
Chiron.
Yep.
Chiron.
Yeah.
And he's a teenager, and I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that in that first phase, we meet a good friend of his named Kevin, who's just a sweet friend of his, and Kevin follows the story throughout. So when we meet Chiron as a teenager, we also see his interaction with Kevin, and Kevin's just a good friend. There's something there. There's some sort of sexual chemistry, and they end up having a sexual experience together one night. Mm-hmm. And then there's a horrible moment where, because of bullying, Kevin is forced to turn on Little, and it's kind of devastating. And after that moment, it skips to the future where both Kevin and Chiron or Little are adults.
Goes by the name of Black.
Yep, which is a nickname that Kevin gave to Chiron when he was a kid, so the nickname stuck. Black is now a pretty successful drug dealer, probably more successful than Mahershala was, and he's extricated himself from the suburbs and lives a pretty good life, but at the end of the day, he's a drug dealer. Kevin reconnects with him as an adult. Kevin went to jail for a little bit, turned his life around, and is now a line cook at a diner. And they reconnect. And I know the film is 9 years old at this point, but we've spoiled almost everything. Let's just leave the very ending a mystery. And I left a little bit out about how each in these phases, Teresa, Janelle Monáe's character, and Mahershala Ali's character, we keep meeting them and they keep playing an important role, and we keep seeing the disintegration of his mother at the same time. And there's a conflict between Mahershala and his mother. And please tell me whatever I left out. I know I said a lot.
No, I think that covers everything. Is more, at the end of the day, is like the movie is about this experience of growing up as a black boy that is gay in a very rough neighborhood. How he actually craves this father and mother figure because he doesn't have a natural, solid figure of himself, for him that life didn't give him, so he actually craved it. He's black enough for just finding that support in Juan, I think that is Mahershala Ali's character, and Teresa, and then finding a bit of a romance connection with Kevin. That is a pretty sweet story. Yeah,
it's very sweet. But not overly so. But I do want to call out, thank you for your addition, but it's not all about him being gay. That's an aspect of him. That's what I kind of like, is it's not all about suffering as the one gay black kid, right? This kid is experiencing a lot. One of the adversities he's trying to work through is his homosexuality, but yeah.
Yeah, well, before I actually say anything, did you like it?
Let's talk first about my expectations going in. I can't remember how many times I've watched this. I think this is at least the third, maybe the fourth. I went in expecting this to be tolerable, to be honest. I thought, okay, this is going to be good, but it's going to be too many times to have watched this film. I rewatched it, and I was blown away, like, again. Like, this is a really good film. It's not just good for the 2016 Oscars. Like, it's a good film. Like, really good. So, yes, I liked it a lot, and I was surprised. I had forgotten how much I liked it. Did you like it, Jose?
Oh, I really like it. I find it still like super sweet, like super moving. But it's what you were saying earlier. Is that it's sweet, but it's not saccharine
Yeah.
sweet. It's like hey, and it's not like super rough. It's a bit more about like this is his experience. It's a flawed experience. It's like he doesn't become a good man. It's also like a bit of the reality of hey, you end up in this world. It's like the system fails you like along the way, and you end up being like this person when you grow up. Not terrible, but not a good person either. But it's more about like the. I think that it digs like so much, and of course, it's like I cannot say this because I'm not a black person, but I'm more into the masculinity role as a black person about like how to come up like with terms on the you are gay and the challenge of that on top of the roughness that is going to be surrounding you. This director, not the writer, Terrell Alvin McCraney, he did a Broadway show called Choir Boy that I think that I told you about it because we saw it
Yeah.
at the Steppenwolf some years ago, and it's exactly the. I mean, it's not the same story, but it's like the same topic about like the black masculinity, like for a gay character. It's about like how to try to marry like these terms. That is, like you have like this stereotype in the black community about like a man has to be like just hyper masculine, and it's like how you're going to be like marry this from the sensibility associated with being gay and then the insecurity and growing up with that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the more I think about it, the more this film is about masking, which is something I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, but almost every gay man in America masks at some point. Like if you've read The Velvet Rage, as if we're closeted, not even understanding that we're gay at 16, we ask, as a gay man, you ask a girl to go to prom, right? Just because that's what you're expected. You put on this mask. And I think we see Little or Black or Chiron put on a million masks, and sometimes he's masking his homosexuality, sometimes he's masking that he's really a sweet guy and he has to be this big scary drug dealer. And I think the beauty is watching him pull off, being able to take off those masks with Kevin and only with Kevin, and it's lovely.
Yep. Yeah, it's that when you actually see him like just laughing and joking around, like after, and I love that they spend on that third act, is that they spend a while like showing him is like hey, this is the person that he has become, you know. But it's like then when you see him with Kevin, like the kind of chemistry that they translate from their teenager years, it feels like a completely different person. I mean, it feels like very super sweet. And I think that we all do that a tiny bit. That is like with our special ones, is that we're going to be acting a complete different manner. That is like we're not going to be like keeping like some of these facades. And for a black person, it's even more
intense
and more critical. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about it that way, but you're right. And I've spoken to you that I have a hard time gauging how good an actor's performance is. But in the third act, when he's called Black or Chiron, he's not overly tough when he's doing his drug dealing, but he has that attitude, right? Like, oh, this is the guy that you don't mess with. And then he meets up with Kevin, and he changes who he is. Like the performance itself, I was like, oh my gosh, that was two different people that I saw in like 30 seconds. It was crazy.
But it was still like subtle. It was a bit of a nuance kind of thing. It's not about like, hey, now you're in a romantic comedy.
Right. It's just the shift where, like I said, that mask came off, and you're like, oh yeah, he's able to be authentic.
Yeah. So I still like this movie a lot. You know, is that the only reason, as I was saying at the beginning, is that the only reason what I thought that La La Land could win is because Hollywood loves talking about Hollywood, you know. But this, from a time passing perspective, I think that this is like a better movie. Is that this is going to remain a better movie.
It would be interesting for me to rewatch La La Land because I didn't like La La Land, but not because it was a bad movie at all. I'd be curious to go back and look at them and see how I feel. But also, 2016 was kind of the zenith of kind of the discussion about race in the Academy specifically. So I'm happy that the Academy recognized a film about black people, about black stories, rather than watching Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone dance on screen, which has merits, but
Yeah. Yes, but it's a La La Land is basically a homage to classical musicals from the 30s and 40s, like big studio musicals. And it's that they know it. And it's like, dude, you already recorded this in the 30s and the 40s as the only cinema out there. Is that now is the time for recognizing like other movies. You can just give cinematography, give music, to La La Land. Emma Stone is incredible in that movie. It's like, it's fine. Recognize her. But it's like, as a movie, as a full like product for the time that we are in, and for just like being more forward looking about like just being able to talk openly not only about a black story but a black gay story, is like Moonlight. I had the feeling that it was in the right spot, in the right time, in the right spot. And I think that is probably the best A24 movie. That sometimes it's like when you tell me, it's like, but you used to like A24, it's like, yes, when they were doing Moonlight or when they were doing Hereditary.
Yeah, I thought about that conversation when the A24 logo came on. I was like, but this is before A24 had their, let's call it their standardized filter.
Their algorithm.
Yeah, their algorithm.
Yeah. And I think that, this is on the early days. I would say 2016, when they only had like 3-4 movies a year. I will have to check it out. But it's on the early stages. Not right now that is like, this is almost like Marvel movies. It's even more than Marvel movies. It's like now you may have 15, 20 movies a year. And it's like you have gone like quantity over quality, and you only apply like some criteria that they are like very by the manual. So Moonlight was like before that. It was more of someone reach you out, or maybe you reach out and it's like they say that it's like, this is a really good script, we have a really good director, let's figure the rest out.
Yep, I completely agree. And I like A24 films as they are today more than you, but watching Moonlight really made me long for when they had a little bit more elevated tastes, let's say.
Well, I would say that a stronger criteria about like what they're going to be like putting out there. And funny enough, it's like Annapurna. This is like Annapurna is that they know that that they produce some films. It's like I don't remember like any of them, but they tend to be like a very limited set of films. They started doing like limited like production of video games, and it's like I think that for example like What Remains of Edith Finch is one of them. And for many years they were like only 1, 2 a year or 3, and then they started exploding, and they ended up like, hey, every year we're going to have like 15 or 20, and not all of them they're going to be slam dunks. Is that maybe 2 are pretty good, but instead of having like the guarantee of only 2 and one of them is going to be amazing and the other one is going to be good, it's like we just go for quantity. And that's what I feel like most of these boutique producers, studios, whatever it's called, they all devolve in the same way of at the beginning you are like super picky with what you want to do, but it's like because of this capitalism greed system that we live in, at the end you're going to have the temptation of, can we have 100 films this year instead of 5?
Do you think there's any justification in that like one movie for me, one movie for the pool in your house? Do you think that A24 is justified in getting more highly consumable pieces out there that make money so they can keep making movies like The Brutalist?
I would even say that The Brutalist, I haven't watched it, but I have to say that even The Brutalist is not a movie that the early days A24 would have gone with. The Brutalist is like the same reason why Netflix gives an indecent amount of money to Scorsese to do The Irishman, or to David Fincher to do Mank, because like this is the one that give us awards and it give us name. Not because it's good.
What I'm saying though is that I'm fine that they want to put out 5 Baby Girls if I get 1 Lobster.
I'm not.
No.
I'm
So
not, I mean, I'm fine with just getting one Luster, one Moonlight. Definitely Moonlight is way better movie than Luster. Let's put it there. It is. It is. Let's be honest here. But if I'm evaluating A24 as a producer, I just feel that you have to evaluate it for the whole oeuvre that they are putting out there. And if I had to put up with bodies, I saw the TV Glow and 5 more that is like, dude, this should have been a short or not even existed.
yeah, when I asked the question, it was more like playing devil's advocate, but it's interesting to consider that in the 2016 nominations and awards of the Oscars, A24 got 8 nominations. Can you guess how many they got this year?
20.
13.
Oh, 13.
20 would have been great.
11,
But A24 is
but
taking over.
Yeah, but 11 of them are from the Brutalist,
Yeah.
I think. So
Is it 11?
I mean,
10. 10 from the Brutalist.
10
And the
from
rest are from
Brutalist.
Sing Sing.
Oh, yeah. So, but imagine that A24 only put those 2 movies out. Because in other years, it's what they used to do at the beginning.
Yeah, but they have to make money. And, like, even you, a film buff, didn't go see The Brutalist. It's hard to get
didn't.
people in the seats. No, I wasn't criticizing you. I'm just saying they have to make money somehow. And so if they're going to sell a psychosexual thriller starring Nicole Kidman getting fingered so hard she pisses herself so that I can watch The Lobster, I'm down. It sounds like for you, you're not down for that.
Look, I would never go to watch Baby Go. You know it. But it's like before what I would actually think. And let's just differentiate something. I would still go watch like some A24 movies, but it's no longer a guarantee of anything. It's like in the past, when I say like, oh my god, this is an A24 movie, I would give it like a vote of confidence. That is gone.
And that's
like,
gone
from
away.
2019, probably. It's like I don't doubt that they can still like put out money, and they may have like their own business model that it justifies to put like 5 horror movies that they are forgetting the next day that they are released, because that makes them money for just doing like a high art movie like The Brutalist, for example. It may not be my cup of tea, but at least it's like, hey, this is potentially good cinema. Not for me, but good cinema.
Yeah, and that's fine to disagree on this. Like, I'm actually just looking at a list of A24 films that came out in 2023 and 2024. Almost all of them are forgettable, but there are some exceptional ones, like The Zone of Interest. Or Priscilla, the Sofia Coppola film that nobody saw in 2023. Civil War.
Yeah, but it's that you just see that there is like a lot more movies when before. If you look at the beginning, like when did they start? In 2015? No, 2013. 2013 they had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 movies.
Anything that has stood the test of time for 13 years? 12 years?
Yeah, I would say the Bling Ring.
Oh, that was so disappointing. I wanted to like that movie so much.
Well, but in 2014 they actually did Enemy, Under the Skin, like Lock. I don't remember which one is this. Obvious Child, The Robber that you like, Life After Death.
Oh,
well, no,
Robber?
You like The Robber?
I did. Well, I mean, look at how many of those kind of have some sort of, let's call, staying power. In 2024, it was Problemista, no idea. Love Lies Bleeding, no idea.
Oh,
Civil
yeah.
War,
With
like...
Tilda Swinton? Problemista? I went to the cinema to watch that.
I haven't heard of it. Then I saw
It's
the
like-
TV Glow, Tuesday, Janet Planet, Maxine Sing Sing, and a different man. I mean, Heretic, Queer, they're all kind of watered down now.
Yeah. So I think that there was, maybe it's not only the quantity, maybe it's also like the type of produce that they pick up. Because when I go back to 2013 or 14, they have always been in the double digits, It's like if I look at 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 movies. That's already a high amount, but I had the feeling that is that you are selecting more towards an audience that is closer to fast food. Of you go watch it, forget about it. You give us the money. We don't have to care about like the investment here.
I respect your metaphor, simile, one of the two. With the exception is, I would say that A24 is becoming more of a beige bar,
Yes,
not a fast food. These aren't McDonald's. They're like the.
yes, they're Chevys.
There you go. Except I like that one.
Yeah, some people like it, and it's not the worst. Or on Applebee's, it's like, or an Olive Garden, is that there is nothing inherently
No,
wrong.
come on. The Olive Garden is never going to make the Brutalist. You have to give them a little bit more credit.
Applebee's. They may have like a special that month that is okay.
Well, regardless of how either of us feel about A24, I do feel very grateful that because of them, we're now discussing this film. I'm happy this exists. I forgot how much I liked it, and just I wanted to ask you really quick what you thought of Naomie Harris.
Sorry, of Naomie Harris?
Yes, she plays his mother.
Oh, she was really, 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 really good.
Right? She was super good. I have a soft spot for her in my heart because you're going to hate this, but she starred in 28 Days Later. But also she was in the Bond films. And I'm just really happy that she's Moneypenny, right? She finally has I'm sure she's done great stuff that I haven't seen, but I'm just happy she had the chance to really shine in this, and I thought she was incredible. There's this scene of her that's in slow motion, and it's just her from her belly up, and she's standing framed in these doorways, and she has this. She's yelling at Chiron in slow motion.
But we don't hear.
Yeah, and it's just she's so good, so good.
Yeah, like super heartbreaking. Yeah, and it's more like the transition to the second act. I think. Yeah. It's amazingly well acted. Sorry, amazingly well made. I think it has like this grounded like feeling. Would you say that it has? I mean, I would say that it's more bitter or more sour, but would you say that you have like a similar air to Sean Baker?
To which one?
Like this movie to a Sean Baker movie.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, like the heartfulness of it, like how earnest it is, a bit rougher. I think that Sean Baker still wants you to feel a bit better. It is not that he wants to feel you bad, but it's like, okay, I'm going to be more grounded here.
So when you say Sean Baker, I'm thinking of Tangerine and Honora, and I'm guessing you're thinking more the Florida Project.
I
haven't seen.
Honora.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the similarities you're talking about. I wouldn't say like, oh, you saw Nora. Moonlight's kind of that. Like, you can't say that, but I understand the similarities that you're talking about.
Fair. No, definitely I wouldn't do like this association for recommending it. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so should we go over the questions?
Let's do it.
All right. So would you watch Moonlight maybe for the fifth time? Maybe not?
Absolutely. Again, I forgot how much I like this movie, how good it is. I would watch this again, and soon. Like, not today, but in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's like one of this. I agree. I will watch it again. Time flies by. It's pretty well done. It doesn't feel like there's like too much fat. It's like I was entertained. I don't tend to be like a big drama fan, but it's like the balance of the hard, tender moments, like with the rougher patches and just like the growth of the character, is like it just got me stuck to the point of, oh yeah, definitely I will watch this in 2 months, for example. Would you recommend it?
Yeah. To anybody.
Yep.
Unless they're like extreme homophobes.
If they're homophobes, I would say like fuck you.
Like you should definitely watch Moonlight.
Yeah. If you don't like it, I don't want to talk with you. It's like, because if you cannot even accept this sweet love story and coming of age, is like, nope. Well, maybe there will be like some people that they may approach this movie as it's about black people and drugs, so it's going to be a gangster movie. Is it? No. not really.
That's something I think is really important. Is this doesn't descend? It's not in cliches. And I feel that way about like gay movies. When there's a quote unquote gay movie, I'm like, oh, this is just going to be a gay movie. Like, it's better than whatever stereotypes you want to apply to it.
Yeah. And we always like we have this joke about like it's almost like for horror movies that you say that it's like, oh, it was good for being a horror movie. Is that with gay movies sometimes it's the same thing about like, hey, it was good for being a gay movie. Is that no? I think that this is a movie that happens to be gay. A good, really good movie that happens to be gay. Yep. And as you were saying, is that it's not about like the centerpiece. It's about like growing up and just like develop yourself into an adult.
Yep.
And just how you adapt to it. Yeah.
Agreed.
Would you remember Moonlight?
I was actually thinking about this question as I watched it because I was surprised how much I had forgotten. About the plot itself. I knew the big cornerstone pieces of the film, so I don't know how to answer this. I want to say yes, but because I'd forgotten so much, I maybe no. Let's say yes.
Okay. I would say yes. I remember like a good amount of it. I remember like all of the critical pieces. There was even like a time, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but Mahershala Ali from one point onwards, he doesn't show up. And I remember that it's like, oh, the way of handling this is super interesting. That I felt like, oh, okay, good, it's life.
In my memory, I remember them explaining what happened, and I think I just built that in my head because I was like, "What? They talked about this."
They didn't.
Clearly not.
Nope,
interesting.
They didn't. There is a bit of okay, it's a.
But you see how much of the story they told without even saying anything, like.
Yeah. We watched not too long ago. I can't say this, but it's like we watched not too long ago Presence. And it's like Presence, they have the need to look at the camera and just explaining most of the gaps that they happen. They need to say, oh, it's almost like when last week we went on a trip, It's like, okay, you didn't show me this part, but it's like, is it so important that you explain these things? In this case, it's a bit more about like, hey, look, I don't come here that often since this happened. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. Let's move on. This is how in life things would be. You won't be like every 3 months like, hey, you remember when this happened to this character?
And I said this and you said that. Yeah, and then I said this.
Yeah. So it's more about like, look, this is more heartfelt. So it's more, maybe in your brain, it's like exactly what you say. It's like in your brain, it's like you connected some dots. Maybe they were the right ones or not. In my brain, it was like, oh yeah, I remember that he just disappears. And it's fine. It's absolutely fine, And we don't know like stuff that happened to the mother, like between the second and the third act. And it's fine.
So the place that she's in at the end, what is that?
I don't know.
They never explain it, right?
No, okay. It's a bit more of a, hey, maybe it's a recovery center, maybe it's like a asylum. We don't know, and it's fine that we don't know because it's not about like where she is. It's about like how Black at that point, like Chiron, actually lives through that, how he handles that. But yeah, I will remember it. I think that is like even like the plate that Kevin cooks in the third act.
You remember that?
I remember that plate like so much, because I did it like once or twice. I look for Puerto Rican recipes of arroz con pollo for just like preparing that.
Wow. So this is an influential film in your life.
I don't know, but I found it like super sweet. Then is that part I just felt, oh my god, this is so sweet. A bit far-fetched about like, oh, this guy comes back as a super muscular guy that he would probably have to be like pushing like the women away, But I said, no. I saved myself.
At some point, remind me too. My husband he has big muscles. He looked exactly like Little as a teenager. He was that skinny.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think that there is anything artistic about Moonlight?
Yes. It's not even worth pointing out a few things. Everything is artistic about this. It's just exceptional.
Yeah, like super, the cinematography, script, acting. I think that is like a really, really, really well-crafted movie. Like a round product all around.
What I particularly appreciated about the direction is his willingness to be figurative with the scenes. Like going back to that Naomi Watts, where it's it's very stylized, but it doesn't feel gimmicky, and it tells a part of the story, but it's not rooted in reality. I
Yeah.
just love that.
Yep. Yeah, that he could actually be bold with everything else like grounded in reality, and this one for just emphasizing the impact, like just like, okay, I'm going to be like doing this, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm rolling with this because it makes complete sense that you're
Yep.
being bold expressing this. So, bravo. Is it a timeless piece?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I wish that it wasn't, to some extent. Yeah, from the
Oh,
perspective
just
that is
the things they struggle with. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I wish that it wasn't, but I have the feeling that is that this movie could have been done 30, 40 years ago.
Yep. Same
Yep,
struggles. Oh,
yep,
40 years
nothing
ago
has
was only
changed.
the mid 80s.
I know, but do we have like movies like that they treat like something similar to this? You know, we have Spike Lee movies probably that they touch on some
Very
of these
similar. Yep.
topics. Yeah.
Yep.
So, uh, would you turn Moonlight into a TV show?
I liked this film so much. I don't even want to pretend to try and play around with how it's presented. Like, this is a movie and it should be a movie. I don't want a TV show. I want exactly the way it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it because I can see how you can translate it like multiple acts. You know, is they just like, hey, we have 2 episodes of him as little, blah blah blah. But I had the feeling that then you're going to be like watering down the effect of the coming of age of the 3 phases in his life. You know, so no, I think that this works as a movie. It wouldn't be working like in any other format. And could this have been a short?
Honestly, I think they could have prepared something as impactful. I enjoyed every minute. I don't want this to be shorter, but this is a small. It understood the scope of the story it was telling, and it could have been shorter. Yes.
I'm going to go with no. Exactly for what I was saying, that I love the build up moments, you know, like these times that we are giving for just seeing, observing the characters. That is not progressing too much the story, but it helps fleshing out who they are. So, like in the third act, that we spend, I don't know, probably like 10, 15 minutes, like just seeing Black being a drug dealer, you know, and I feel it's like, oh, actually, this gives me like a lot about his character that now I'm going to be like seeing the interactions. That is the important part, and it's like I know how important, like the masks part that you were saying, is like how important it is for him to be able to drop those masks.
Yeah, it's a good point, and maybe I'm wrong, and it would be a different story because you're right. The time they dedicate to those sorts of moments really pay off.
Yep, yeah. But I mean, I see also your narrative about like, hey, you can get like the core elements here, and it's like remove everything else, and it's still a very compelling narrative. Do you think this movie could have been better?
So I'm not saying this is a perfect film, but there's not a major flaw that sticks out. So I'm going to say no. It's solid all the way around.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no to. It's not one of those movies that I could say, like, you know, the script could be a tiny bit better, and I want to be a snob, so I'm going to say that you should review your script, you know, like tightening it up. No, I think that this is a movie that is not perfect,
But pretty
but I had,
close.
but pretty close. Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but it's like such a solid, tight product for me, you know, that it makes me feel like things that is like I don't want to touch it. It's like just
And there were
leave it
like
as
no
is.
missteps. That's the thing. You can't point out, oh, I wish they hadn't done this because no, there's none of those.
Yeah, yeah. You could argue like the part about like they could look at the camera and explain what happened on those ellipses, you know, on those parts that we are not seeing on the camera, but it couldn't change how I feel. It could add more noise. I think that is a very lean movie for what it's trying to say.
Yep.
And he's actually investing on the parts that is like other movies could be like no, 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 this is just like character, like how you say, like a slow pace character development. We don't want that. He's like, no, that's what I want like
Yep.
Mahershala Ali like
It
just
works perfectly.
teaching. Yeah, I want like Mahershala Ali like just teaching little to swim. I want that. I want those 5-10 minutes of his like, oh my god, this is the perfect father figure.
Yep.
So should we score this?
Yes. This was your pick, so I suppose I will score first. Let's just go with a 9.
That's exactly my score. A 9.
And I was toying 9.25, so I could go either way on this. It's really, well, we've praised it enough. It's a damn good film.
I agree. I think that is a movie that I wish that everyone watch.
Yeah, that's a good descriptor.
Yeah, we were talking before starting this about another movie that a review was like pretty mean with it, and we were laughing about it. About like, hey, this movie, if this movie proves anything, is that not every film needs to exist. I think that Moonlight is exactly the opposite. It's like this proves that this movie needs to exist, and I think that it needs to be watched by everyone.
Just right after La La Land. Just go see La La Land.
There are a bit on different wavelengths, Is the La La Land, I would say, if you like musicals, you need to watch this movie. If you like Emma Stone, you need to watch this movie.
And Ryan Gosling.
Do people like Ryan Gosling?
I do. And if you like really, really, really white jazz, go see La La Land.
Well, like this meme when it was released, it's like La La Land is about a white guy teaching a white woman what jazz is about.
You're welcome, world.
Yeah, when I read that joke, it's like, yeah, this is a bit weird, but okay, sure, I like the rest. But yeah, anything else to say about Moonlight?
No, I'm glad you picked this one. Well done, man.
Happy to satisfy, happy to oblige. And to everyone else out there, thank you so much for putting up with us. Remember, like, subscribe, leave 5 reviews everywhere.
And if you do, we'll be back next week.
And if not, you will never.
Sorry, this is it. The final episode.
Okay, bye.